Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Welcome,
We are
everybody.
back for another edition of Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil
and
and
Sister Tisha. And we're glad to have you all back. Come on, gather in the room, everybody. There's a lot to be done, a lot to be said, a lot to be heard. And even though we're not Toyota, you asked for it, you got it. We're bringing back, no, we're not Burger King either. But tonight, our audience,
can have it their way.
they'll have it their
Is
way.
that Burger King?
Yeah, that was Burger King. Yeah.
We only ate burgers at the house.
Yeah. Them big ones with the white bread on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that tonight everybody gets a chance to gather around.
My cousins.
Come on in. Who's in the room tonight, honey? I can't see the room. You can see the
Tony
room.
Timmons.
Tony Timmons.
That's
welcome.
Anthony.
Oh, my man. I gotta talk with him. All right. Great. Welcome, Tony. Welcome, everybody. Come on in the room. Come around the camera. Get acquainted. Talk about things that are happening. We want to welcome all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, our sister Amina P. Muhammad. Walaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem to you, sister. Boston is so far north. I think they had iftar at like 4:30 this afternoon. Like, they're way up there,
She's full right now.
Yeah, she's full, she's relaxing. Thank you, sister, for fighting the itis and coming on in the room. We're grateful that everybody comes around. The reason why we do this program is not a news program.
No.
It's not us analyzing all of the data and analytics from around the world about this event or that event, but it is us gathering together to talk with friends about things that make a difference to us. And so that we can do that, we make this time together. Come on in the room. Everybody, enjoy yourself. Kick your shoes off. This is like being over your friend's house because we got good coffee and good conversation.
That's right.
That's what we do tonight.
And we're so glad. I'm so glad to be back on our old platform. We tried it last week just doing the YouTube, and it wasn't as warm and cozy as we needed. I felt like I couldn't hug you guys, so we put it back. So we're streaming live on Facebook again, YouTube as well. And you know what we need you to do. You want to go over to YouTube, subscribe, share, like the podcast, so we can extend the platform, and then go to Facebook and do the same. Go to our page, Nothing But the Truth, with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. Like, share, and subscribe so we can get the word out there to everybody. But we went back to streaming on Facebook so that we can, conversate with you guys during the live broadcast. I really missed that part of it.
Hey, Sister Amina says in the chat, she did not like the YouTube only. She likes this better. So we hear and we respond, dear Sister Amina. And when I said 4:30 in the afternoon, that was just a little haha. We know that you're on the East Coast there in Boston, but 7:20 is your iftar there, your Maghrib prayer there. Around the Washington, D.C. area, it's about 7:45. And then in Atlanta, it's about 8:05. See, so the farther north you are, the shorter your days tend to be at this time of year. And so that's how that goes. That's what we were kidding about. Brother Nephew William is back in the room from Oakland, California. Always glad to see you tonight, sir. Ramadan Kareem to you. And we're looking to gather everybody around before we get into our guest segment tonight, because we know you have questions for her.
Mm-hmm.
She is the award-winning author of this book, Relationship Talks. And Relationship Talks is actually the book that Tisha and I used to court. It's a guide to meaningful conversations for couples in courtship, engagement, and marriage. And even if you already been married, no, you don't need to go to the North Pole, Brother David. Just
he might
take his keyboard. But we want to make sure that you are fully armed to deal with the problems that may erupt and develop in the course of your marriage. Marriage is not an easy thing that happens instantaneously. You don't just snap your fingers and everything is all right. Sometimes you have to do things you might not expect to do. And you have to relate to that and understand that that's a part of the process. Would you agree with that, Tisha?
I agree. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. You're always learning something, and you have to put in the effort to make it fun, make it spontaneous, keep it vibrant, so that you're not always just nagging and fussing about socks on the floor. and things like that, because you don't want to do that. Would you agree with that, Jamil?
Yes, I would agree with that. And tonight, Sister Katrina is going to give us more information about all the things that we can do to keep
Exactly.
moving ahead and to get to the front line. There's our brother Sean Ali in the room, our brother, great gardener, author of 33 books, with us tonight. We've also been joined by our brother Lawrence X, Dr. Lawrence X, who is a Renaissance man without equal.
Right.
He's somebody to be reckoned with. And Dr. Lawrence, we welcome you to the room tonight from your home in Dallas, Texas / Tampa, Florida.
Beautiful.
I don't know how he does it, but that's what he does. Our brother will be on the show as a guest soon as well. And speaking of guests, we've also been joined by Sister Katrina Muhammad, the forgiveness expert and really a scientist of human relations, Sister Katrina. Now, why do all these guests come back, you might ask? Why is everybody familiar here? And why does it seem to grow a little bit more every week? It's because you're doing what Tisha just asked you to do a moment ago. It's because you're engaging us in the comments section. It's because you're making your preferences and desires well known. It's because once you come on the program, you're no longer a guest, you're a part of the Nothing But the Truth family.
Family.
And when you become a part of this family, we like to see you. This is like going over Big Mama house on Sunday afternoon.
Right.
You supposed to be
You're
there.
supposed to. And she's gonna feed you.
She gonna feed you now.
Mhm.
You're gonna eat.
So here you're gonna eat some good conversation.
Mhm.
You're gonna enjoy some good company, good energy, all of that. And we need you to bring your good energy too.
Yes,
This platform
indeed.
is for all of us.
Yes, indeed. So we thank you all
All
for
right.
being here. And Amina says it's because we're so awesome. Bless your heart, sister. We're gonna send you a check. No, can't do that. But I want to thank you, Brother William, for realizing, certainly Brother William and Brother Lawrence and Brother Sean, Brother David, you did realize that when Sister Tisha talked about having to nag someone about picking their socks up off the floor, that was fictional. It did not have anything to do with a brother here putting socks on the floor. Because I know I picked up socks this morning.
What did the minister say during the swan song about the truth?
I can't live without the truth.
Okay,
Picked
yeah,
up
well,
socks this morning
so there's
myself,
that.
but they had been on the floor all night. Sometimes you you have
Get
to go back to
into
the
it.
comments, and so we want to go back to the comment section. What? Want to go back to the comment section of the program. There's
Trish is
sister-in-law.
here.
Hey Trish, she's back. So whew, you saved me, Trish. Thank you so much. Um, Sister Amina said, "Look at her face. It's real." Brother Victor's with us tonight on the line. So everybody come on in the
Welcome.
room. And yes, we're actually asking you to wait a little bit extra time tonight because tonight's team member,
Mhm,
can't call her a guest,
mhm.
but tonight's team member is going to be back frequently to address your particular questions. So get them going in your mind. How would I address this question or that question about the way that my marriage should be?
Mhm.
I was talking earlier today on the Facebook post about certain things that make or break courtships. And there's certain movies, for example. You know, I talked about Claudine. Claudine is a break or make courtship movie. Now, if you're talking to somebody that don't like Claudine, my question is, who are you really talking to?
I like love and basketball.
There you go. It's another one. I mean, and brothers, you have to sit through Love and Basketball. you,
Assalamu alaikum, Sister
you
Vicky.
just have you have to. Sister Vicky's with us tonight, and there's little baby Wah, little baby Wah. Welcome, little baby Wah. But everybody, come on in, pull up a chair, get comfortable, and make sure that you understand that what we're doing is moving toward the goal. Now, I think there's a special introduction to be made, Tisha. What do you think? Why don't you tell the folks who's in the room and bring her on in so that she can talk to us about the matter at hand?
Well, tonight we have a special treat. This is our returning team member. You all know her as Sister Katrina Muhammad. She is the author of the wonderful book, I can't see it with the glare, I'm so sorry, Relationship Talks. She is going to help us strengthen our marriages if you're already married, married, and if not, if you're in courtship, she's going to help us with some tips on how to build a firm foundation to stand on. I want you to dig deep and think about all the questions you've had that you may have been a little bit timid to ask. Go ahead and put them in the chat tonight, and we'll see if we can get them addressed. But I want you to make sure you share this platform so that we can get enough, as many people as we can to come in and hear what our sister has to say, because this is going to be a powerful edition of Nothing But the
Powerhouse.
Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha.
That's right.
All right, so at this time, we'll bring on our special guest.
Who's not a guest, Sister
Right.
Katrina Muhammad. Come on in the room, sis.
Welcome her, everyone.
There she is. She's in the
Assalamu
room.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sister. How
Ramadan
are
Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem? How are things where you are there? I see you're in the library. We're writing and
Yes.
thinking and planning are the order of the day. Tell us what's been happening with you before we get into the questions, because the chat room is already live.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you all for having me again. I missed you. I missed you so much, but I watched all the shows. And what we're going to talk about today with privacy and health, really emphasis on health, relates back to one of your phenomenal guests, Dr. Shabazz. I mean,
Mhm.
that was an excellent show. I'm so glad you had her on. And some of the things she had to say, I was just like jumping for joy that she was saying these things, because we need to talk about health in our relationships. But for me, the Ramadan has been amazing. The reading of the Holy Quran has been amazing. My fast has been amazing. This has really been a special Ramadan, because I really feel we came right off of Holy Day, and everybody was still saying, Savior's Day, and everybody was still saying, Happy Savior's Day, Happy Savior's Day. And then now we're celebrating Ramadan. So it just feels like we've been in a perpetual state of festivities that I have thoroughly enjoyed. And I don't know about you, Ramadan is like a reset for me. And then I had a birth anniversary fall within Ramadan as well, which I think is the first time that's happened for me. And so everything has just been so good. I got a chance to see my family,
Great.
and then a lot of other blessings from Allah. So I have no complaints. This is a great Ramadan, and we're only halfway through.
Halfway through.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. A quick question before we begin, Sister Katrina. The creative process, it always amazes us. And after we meet with you and spend time with you, Tisha and I often talk about just the sheer brilliance that pops up off of you. It seems to be something that Allah has just gifted you with, the observational interest, and then the ability to process information and bring it out in a way that helps other people. Is that something that you're conscious of doing? Is that something that you prayed to do? Or is that something that you just stumbled into?
All praises are due to Allah. It's all Allah. Let's be clear about that. But my father would tell you that my parents had me tested at a very young age. And my father, I tell him, Dad, I just think you're biased. You're a father. You're really proud of your daughter. Like most parents, he said, no, you tested on a genius level, which is why we put you in that expensive private school. So I don't know, I never did see the test. This is what my parents say. But all I know is Allah has blessed me with tremendous opportunities, and I don't take that lightly. What some people don't know about me is I actually almost died as a baby.
Oh,
And my parents constantly reminded me of that. And I know I had some friends that thought that was quite cruel that they would do that. But when they reminded me of when I almost died as a baby, being allergic to Similac, my
Wow.
mother did not breastfeed me. She had to go back to work. So they thought it was safe to put me on Similac, but I ended up having an allergic reaction, and I
mm.
stopped breathing at home, and they didn't know what was going on. And honestly, my mother got me to the doctors just in time for them to resuscitate me. So I had
Oh my,
stopped breathing. So anyway,
that, that is
then
something.
rush, yeah, then rushed to the hospital and all that. And my father prayed. I mean, my parents, new parents, So they remind me of that, of just how close I came to death. So for me, every experience in life is a sweet one that is a gift because I almost didn't have that experience. And so I don't take it lightly. I try to go, to the wall, to the limit, through the fire, like to give it my all, straight up, to give it my all, because we're not promised. We're not promised tomorrow or next month or next year. So when we commit to something, we have to give it our all. And I pray to Allah so hard to help me do that. And that's what I did with this book, Relationship Talks. And I've been getting a lot of feedback, and I'm so thankful, so thankful. But you should know that it is all Allah. All of it is Allah.
Yes, ma'am. All praise is due to Allah. And I see more and more, Tisha, of the family coming back in.
Beautiful.
My main man from Fort Worth, Texas,
Come on.
with us tonight, Brother Taiwan and Sister Nikita.
Brother
from Fort Worth.
Taiwan, he did the
Welcome
cover
back
of the
into
book.
Yes, he did. This is Brother Taiwan's design. And he's not only done graphics for Sister Katrina, he's also done graphics for Brother Nuri. Brother Taiwan, you may want to put your contact information in the chat just so people can know how to reach you. Certainly, Brother Arthur's in the room again from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And that is how we make it happen.
Beautiful.
And of course, this project and that Brother Taiwan says he loved working on was something, sister, that I loved working on as well. I tell people all the time, I'm very proud that when this book was in its conception stage, Sister Katrina went into a cocoon and came out with a powerful body of information. Then she said, "Here, Brother Jamil, read it. Tell me what you think of it." And so I read it in one night because it was that riveting. It was that involving. It was that interesting. And when I read it, I called her, and I don't know what time it was, maybe 10 at night. I was like, "Whoa, what are we doing here?" And she said to me, "I need you to write the foreword to the book." And when I did that, it was such a great honor. I
said, please write the foreword. I would be honored if you write the foreword. And Brother Jamil, when you tell a story, you tell it so calm, cool, and collect, but you're missing the trepidation and the straight up nervousness I had in even approaching you with this. Because believers, let's be real here. This is student minister Jamil Muhammad. Okay. And so, I didn't even know if he would be interested in the project. All I know is I was like, I prayed. I said, "Allah, please let me help explain this to him in the best of manner, that it would just pique his interest just a little bit, just to take 5 minutes, just to read one page." Little did I know, the brother read the whole book, like I think in an hour. I don't even know who reads that fast, but I mean, he's a very good reader, and he read it and called me back immediately, and I just thank Allah. Honestly,
it was amazing because, and I thank you for those wonderful compliments. But sister, what I saw was, and this came in a very unusual time in my life. I'm going to be transparent. I can say that my wife is here. But I was pretty much committed to being just by myself. I was living, my wife is, her use of language. She says, yes, in the hermit years, she talks about my isolation as her. She said she called when we were recording, she called on the iPhone. What is it called? FaceTime.
FaceTime.
She looked around the apartment. And when I saw her face was like, so those are your
Let's
dishes?
continue the courtship just a few more months.
She's like, well, why are there measuring cups in the refrigerator? What does that mean? What do you? And so because men in that state, we didn't care. But your book came and it sort of sparked something in me about the benefits to our people of marriage. And we've had that on this program before. Sister Katina and other experts, they know that marriage itself has benefit for us. There are advantages for Black women to be married, advantages for Black men to be married, and advantages for all Black people to either be married to the right person or not get married at all.
Right.
See, sometimes
Right.
the success of relationship talks is you learn that this is your good brother or sister in the nation, but there's no way that you should be married to them because
Right.
that may not be the right match for you.
I know that
That's right.
we need to get into the book because that's what they want to hear some of the questions. But I just want to tell you what it did for me really quickly.
Mm,
Um, there's all kinds of marriage and relationship type books, and
Hmm.
a lot of times we think we know what we need or what our relationship needs. But there's always, like we said, there's always something that you can improve on. This book was different for me because it didn't feel like it was just somebody preaching to you or making you feel bad about what you should be doing but what you don't have. You know how
right.
some books you're comparing your toxic thing to what they're saying is so beautiful and rosy and you don't want to read it. This book
Right.
makes you want to dive in, and it makes you stop and not point the finger at the other person. You're asking yourself the questions: what would I do in this
Mm,
situation?
mm,
And then you ask them,
That's
now
right.
what would you do in this situation?
mhm.
What I liked about it is in courtship, a lot of times we put on those airs. You try to be cute, they try to act like they're not hermits and things like that, and so you don't really approach the questions like you need to. Or some questions I'm not going to ask that because he might think this is such and such about me. Or he'll say, I'm not going to ask that because she might think this book. No, you're going to ask it, but
Mhm,
you're going to
That's
save your
right.
dignity when you ask it, right?
mhm.
But it's
Right.
stuff you need to know. And there was stuff that I didn't even think to ask. But when I came across it, I was like, yeah, good question. How would you handle that?
Yeah.
Right? It's not a nice, nasty book at
Mhm,
all. Like
mhm.
you're not digging
Not
and
passive aggressive. No,
mm-mm,
no.
you can do that on your own.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
no, it's very nice. You save face, you save dignity, and it just kind of guides you through the process. And sometimes when you're in courtship and you get those lovey feelings, you just everything is just rosy. You don't ask.
Right.
You don't ask
Right.
certain things,
Right.
but this book you're asking. And so
Mhm, mhm.
Sister
and
Tisha,
Well,
I
trying.
love how you said save your dignity. That is
Mhm.
so important because I honestly think that that is why many couples don't ask the questions that they should be
Mhm.
asking because they're afraid of how it may make them look to the other
Right.
person. They just are afraid to ask for so many reasons. And so this book saves the dignity of the person because they can say, well, this question is in the book. And so there's no preconceived notions of someone saying, well, why did you think to ask me that, and what's going on in your head that you would even say that to me? And so it's like, no, we're just going to put it all on the table. We're going to talk about everything. This is a safe space for us to be honest with each other because the goal here is to find the right person for each other. I think
that's
genuinely the man wants to do that, and genuinely the woman wants to do that too. It's just they have to find that bridge to kind of close the gap to get them there
yes.
together in a safe space
Yes,
with
and
their dignity. Thank you for saying it
Beautiful.
like that.
she
Beautiful.
said that beautifully, didn't she?
I
Yes,
did.
that was
Good girl,
wonderful.
you said that, honey. You
Did you hear
said
me when
that.
I said
Yeah,
that?
I heard
All
you.
right.
I
All
heard you
right.
I
said that.
love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
listen, I want to thank Allah for this project, and we're going to get into the questions. We did promise to do that, but sister,
Yes.
it is so important to note that you're writing this. You may not have even thought of all the ways it could help the people when you were writing it, but I think that after you saw it take effect among those who had read it and sent their testimonies to you and their testimonials and their witnesses to you of how this book helped them, you began to see that it helped probably more people than you thought it would at the beginning.
That is
Secondly,
true.
when when you did this, you made a safe space for the one group who is the most gun shy, the most afraid. See, because young people coming out their mother's house or coming out of college, they're not afraid. Hey, I like
Right.
her. I like him. Let's get married. Let's do it. Woo!
Yeah.
And they barrel down the road together because they have never felt the iron fist of oh hell no.
Right. Right.
See, but the
Right.
iron fist of oh hell no is out there and it will happen that way.
That's
And so
right.
I'm asking you to sort of please accept all of our thanks from the folks who are trying again, the folks
Mm.
who have been through something and have gotten some scars and some hickeys and a couple of black eyes and a fat lip or two. going through the vicissitudes of life as a married person and having honestly failed at it in one way or another, or been failed at it by somebody else who was failing flagrantly. You see? And so as these things happen, we get reticent. Some of us will retreat into our own space. Some of us will go back into our isolation and start thinking of what we can do to stay safe. But safe.
I love how you said that.
Mm.
I love how you said that, Brother Minister Jamil, because I am a divorcee. And so this book came out of me saying to myself, I want to do better. I want to ask more questions. I want to ask the right questions. So I prayed to Allah. I read the courtship manual. I like the questions in the courtship manual. I like the premise and the theme of our Nation of Islam courtship manual. It is a beautiful document and book. This should not replace that book. You should still do the Nation of Islam courtship manual. I like the study guides, every single last one of them.
Yes, ma'am.
There are questions in there in the study guides that I would highly recommend that couples sit down and ask each other these questions so you understand the mind of the person of whom you are becoming one with. You're trying to become one as a couple, right? So this book, Relationship Talks, was kind of driven out of the goal of trying to achieve what these phenomenal books like the Courtship Manual and the series of study guides, what they do to the reader. That's what this book was trying to accomplish. I really wanted to not give answers to people because everyone is different. Some people like boiled eggs. Some people like fried eggs. Some people like their eggs over easy. Like, there's no wrong way to cook an egg. I mean, unless you put pork in it, right? That we don't do.
Yeah.
But,
there's that.
Yeah, that would be a problem. But the goal here is, what do you like? What is your preference? What do you need? And then you matching with someone, and then they describing those things, and the two of you figuring out, okay, we're alike. We have very similar taste, goals, desires, beliefs. We get along. And so it removes just the physical of, okay, am I attracted to that person? Oh, she's cute. Oh, he's fine. I mean, what are you on the inside? That's what the minister said. He said, who you are is not on the outside. It's who you are on the inside. And so this book was trying to peel back the onion to say, okay, who are you really? Right? When no one is around, are you following your fast? Are you keeping up your prayers? Are you keeping away things that are unlawful to us? Who are you really? And so this book was trying to get to that. Now, some people said to me, well, people do lie, Sister Katrina. Somebody can easily say whatever, right? But that's why this book has activities in the back of it, because let's see not just what you say, but let's see what you do, right? That's what we were recently told. Love is not just saying I love you, but showing the person that you love them through your actions. The minister said a long time ago, I think in the lecture, Love is Duty. Correct me, Sister Tisha, Brother Student Minister Jamil. Love is duty. That love is a verb.
That's right. An action
Love
word.
is action.
That's right.
You.
That's right.
So it's like we need to be reminded of that. And this book is trying to get to that with the couple. But at the same time, not tell them, hey, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, because I'm not into shaming people.
Right.
That's not okay. That's not what we do. And this book is not just for Muslims too. It's for the Christian community.
Absolutely.
That's an important community. At the end of the day, the Ummah is all of us. The Christians, the Muslims, all of us as Black people. Our divorce rate is well over 50, really close to 70%. Our divorce rate is higher than any other ethnic group in the country. To me, that is a 5-alarm fire. That
Yes,
is
ma'am.
a all hands on deck. We have to figure this out. We have too many broken homes. Our children are suffering. This must stop. This
All
has to
right.
stop.
Now,
We have to figure out
now,
a way to keep our marriages together. And that's what this book is about.
now let me say this. Y'all can see she's fired up.
All right.
You
Sorry,
can
I'm
see,
fired up.
you can see, no, you can see that she's not afraid to represent what she has written. So let's all grab our books. If you're in the audience and you have your copy, Brother Taiwan, pick yours up. You got yours, Tish?
I got mine.
All right. Everybody get your copy. Sister Katrina's going to the text right now. She's going to present what we need to hear, what we need to learn, what we need to see. As she gives it to us, let's follow her along in the text and continue to do what we do. Before she asks the first question, let me welcome my brother Harold B. Muhammad from Mosque number 92 in Greensboro, North Carolina. Good to see you. Oh, that's my kinfolk, Sister Latrice D. Muhammad from Washington, D.C. Good to see you. So many. Brother Taiwan doesn't just say, when you talk, he don't just say church.
He said tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
I'm done with
he said he was getting all of tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
And we'll come to your question as well, Brother William. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said there's no official documents in our nation as a courtship manual. Was one authorized officially? They are working on it, and the working document is still helping people.
Yes.
That's what we want you to know, Brother William. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did say that courtship is a courtesy to the believing community. It's not required. You don't have to tell people what you're doing. You can come into mosque one day, you're a registered Muslim. On a Monday, you can come into Sunday meeting with a new wife you just married on Friday and nobody ever met her. We have to respect that, but it may not be the best course of action. So we advise how to do the right thing. Sister Katrina, what's in the pages? Let's make it happen. Let's go.
Let's go. So privacy and health starts on page 48, and I give an introduction to each chapter, helping people understand why the chapter even exists, right? Why are we talking about privacy and health? Why is that important? The number one reason for divorce is actually finance. However, when I researched all the reasons for divorce, health and privacy were a big part of that, because you had a lot of people not necessarily being honest about their health condition, or in some cases, not being responsible about their health. And this is what Dr. Shabazz talked about, your guest, a couple of shows ago, how people don't even go to the doctor the way that they should. People are not, up on their medications the way they should, or eating properly the way that they should. So we have an overweight society. The most obese nation in the world is the United States of America. And Black folk are right up in the mix of not weighing properly. So, that is something we need to talk about, because that weight is killing us. It's creating all type of comorbidities and other health issues that create a problem along the way. So this chapter starts on page 48. The first question that I think is like a basic question that a person should ask is at the bottom of page 20, page 50, question number 20, which reads, would you consider yourself healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally? And I think that question is important, because when we think about health, sometimes it's only the physical we're focused on. Do you have high blood pressure, diabetes? But are you healthy mentally? Are you healthy emotionally? And how do you see yourself? So it's important to know what that person thinks about themselves, if they think that they are healthy on all three of those levels. I think that's a very important question. Then if you turn the page, it's like a trifecta of health questions. 21, how regular do you receive physical checkups? 22, have you had cancer screenings? For example, a prostate exam, a mammogram exam, a colon exam. All of this is very important. My father had refused to get a prostate exam. I told him, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us to tell all Black men, our fathers, our uncles, to go get the exam, right? My father refused. Well, he ended up going for some tests for dental work. They saw something going on in his lab work. He went for more tests. Come to find out, he was diagnosed with stage 3 prostate cancer. They immediately got him in to see an oncologist. He immediately started treatments on radiation and hormone therapy. And I thank Allah to this day that my father is alive and still with us. But
Right.
if he had not coincidentally, which we don't believe in coincidences, if he had not gotten that dental work done, which he needed to get labs done in order to get this dental work done, he would not have ever even known. So when I
Wow.
asked my father, why didn't you go get the exam? Dad, I had been asking you. He said, daughter, I apologize, but I felt weird about that exam and I didn't want to do it. So
Now,
it's my
that's
fault. I
that's a
almost
lot
died
of us.
because of some silly,
That's a lot of
thing in my head about not wanting to get examined.
that's a
So,
lot of
yes,
us. That's a lot of us, sister. And I want to, and I'm certainly not going to clip your responses, but we want to move to get as many of these questions in as possible. We're being bombarded on all sides with the chat room, and that's a good thing, Sister Katrina. It really happens when all you family members whose names you see over there, Sister Katina and them, and Brother Lawrence, and Ron Wilch and Dr. Shabazz. It only happens when y'all come that everybody is blowing up the spot. So we're going to do more. The time has come for us to take a short pause for the cause. We'll come back and we'll go more questions, and then we'll go into the comment section and see if the tech team will give us just a few minutes past 9 o'clock. Don't tell them I'm gonna ask them that.
We'll come back and jump back into the book.
We're gonna jump right back into
All
it.
right, let's
perfect.
go.
All right, we'll be
right
back.
guys. Hold on.
Hey everybody, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
We are back with more information from Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil.
and Sister Tisha.
That's right.
Today we're moving something in a way that we haven't in months. That's because the weather's warm, it's sunny, and it's time to get up and shake something loose. Not hard, but shake something loose and move, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm so excited to get out here and shake a tail feather in
No,
the
no,
night.
you're not going to be doing that. No,
Shake
that's what
something-
you're not going to do.
Shake something
No,
loose.
no.
Wait.
I meant something medical.
Okay.
May
we can do
Allah
that
bless you all to move something, stay healthy, stay strong, and stay out here in the fight. Keep moving all the time.
You
okay?
can do it.
You can do it.
All right. Assalamualaikum.
No
No,
tail
we don't
feathers in
shake
this
tail
equation.
feathers?
No. And I'm sure everyone understands there will be no tail feather shaking. It's probably in relationship talk. I'm sure it's in there. But
Let me find the question.
I'm sure it's in there. But let's get back into what we're doing. Comments, we haven't forgotten you have questions, but let Sister Katrina go into this because she's going to explain to us the thought process that produced the book. Go right ahead, sis.
So there was another one of our sisters, the student MGT captain in Detroit, who, may Allah be pleased with her, who passed away from cancer. So
Veronica.
this Sister Veronica, thank you. So we have to get these screenings. We have to do the exams because you need to know as soon as possible. Our brother, the famous actor Chadwick Boseman, right? The Howard graduate, the
Yes,
Black
ma'am.
Panther actor, died from colon cancer. So I'm not sure when he was diagnosed. I think I heard something when he was diagnosed, he was already stage 3. I'm not sure about the actual facts on that, but we need to get examined. We must get checked. We cannot have fear. We are taught in the nation as Muslims to fear nothing and no one but Allah. So why would we fear a test? Why would we fear an exam? We should have no fear. We must get checked. So that's what this question is about. And I've met people and I've talked to people that are adamantly against doctors, against tests, against medication, against anything. And it's really interesting to me. And this is all walks of life, because I mean, if you got into a car accident or something were to happen to you, I mean, where you're not going to go to the hospital? Like, who's going to remove that, whatever that is, that bullet or whatever, affected you? Or if you fell and broke your arm, are you going to set your arm in a cast like yourself at home in your basement? Like,
So
what are
you got shot. Let me put some
you
echinacea on that for you. You
right?
got shot. Let me put some elderberries on that for you. Come on,
Right.
man.
I mean, it's not like the movies, give me a butter knife or whatever and some tweezers and I can get the bullet out myself and I can give me some thread, and a needle and I can stitch it up myself. No, you're going to want to go to the hospital to see a doctor. And there's no shame in that. Allah blessed these people with the mind of health and medicine and the desire and the passion to be in that field. Sometimes that really is a thankless job, because it's a lot of work, for a reason, right? So why aren't we using them? If you are the type of person and you're like, no doctors for me, then maybe you should be married to someone who also believes in no doctors, as opposed to someone who believes in going to the doctors, because that's going to be a constant battle back and forth. And why have that? You need to be of the same mind. So question number 23, what type of medicine do you practice and believe in, Western or homeopathic? Have you heard of the Tuskegee study or experiment? What is your opinion of the study? Has this impacted your view of Western medical practices? Do you trust doctors? And explain.
And you know what happened,
All of
Sister
that.
Katrina? That came in, really importantly, that came in the midst of the coronavirus. And it came in when Black people in particular were being called upon to trust the American medical establishment and the so-called healthcare industry and the governmental regulatory bodies that supervise that industry, like they
Right.
had never been called upon before. Your questions were prophetically foresightful. And those are the things that we find valuable in the book. When we were going through the book, I said, we reached a point where maybe more than halfway through the book, I said, well, teacher, we clearly agree on a lot of this stuff. I'm glad we got this out of the way. Whew, we good now. She said, no, we not good yet. We're going to do the whole book. We're going to finish the whole book. And so
All
she
praise
made
is due to Allah.
these
He
questions.
tried it. Tried it.
Yeah, I tried it. But we came back to make sure that this is going on. What other vision did you have about the medical establishment before we get into the rest of the questions about privacy and health?
Only that I totally agree with you. I mean, there might be some areas in Western medicine that you may trust in terms of, let's just say, your blood pressure medication, right? You've had no side effects with that. This medication has been out a long time. You're on it, and you're in the process of trying to lose weight and wean yourself off of all medications. But in the meantime, you're taking your medication, you're fine, right? But when it comes to vaccinations and other types of shots, like the flu shot or any of those type of shots, you're like, no, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that. I've never done it. And that's that. And I don't want my children to have it either. I mean, we were told to stay away from that. And there's good reason why we don't trust Western medicine when it comes to their practices of, giving us shots, that type of thing, because they've been so dishonest in the past and even in the present. So, definitely you need to be on the same page. But the minister said a beautiful prayer, and this is during the Swan Song. And I think he mentioned it again on the Ramadan prayer line. But he talked about those that he knew that took the vaccine. He said, then I will pray to Allah for you that you remain healthy. Don't quote me. I have to look at the text on that.
That's an accurate paraphrase. That is an accurate paraphrase. Yes, ma'am.
So look at the grace and mercy that the man of God in our midst right now, understanding that, there there are some of our people on both sides of this, those that were adamant about not taking the vaccine, and those that took it maybe because of their job or some other reason. He said a prayer for them as well. I mean, that is beautiful. That is grace and mercy like I've never known, like we've never known.
Yes, yes,
So
indeed.
all praise is due to Allah. The goal
All
is
right.
to find out with the person that you are interested in marrying where they lie in that debate. What
All
is
right.
their
All right.
opinion, and making sure that you're in alignment with each other.
All
That's
right.
what's
I have,
most important.
I have something that I had noticed too when reading the book, how it had helped me. I'm sorry. Feels like the light is all in my face. So we're talking about now how these questions help you to make sure you and your potential partner is on the same page, right? and
Right.
and when I was going through the book, like I was saying, I was making sure that I asked myself these questions too. How would I answer? And one of the questions was, it's on page 53, number 52. It said, do you or your children have health conditions or chronic diseases?
Mm.
Explain. So that's seems like that would be kind of personal, because when people usually have chronic illnesses, if you can't see them, all of them you can't see, nobody just comes out while they're dating. Oh, and by the way, I have this and such. So if someone was to tell me that he has this and such, and I can't see this and such, would that then make me turn away? Right? So what if I didn't know that? What if he didn't, what if it was little to him? What if he says I have diabetes and I have no toes or something, right now, and he's fine with it, but then I would be like on honeymoon night, like what the? So, but he didn't tell me
Right.
that. So this book helps you to be able to ask that question and back up out of it without making you feel like a terrible person. If there was something
Exactly.
the other person is dealing with that you said, okay, that's a game changer for me. I don't want to deal with that. Right? You don't have to.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't have I don't have to deal with a chronic illness if I don't want to with my partner.
Exactly.
I should be able to make
Exactly.
that choice, right? He
That's
doesn't
right.
have to deal with
Exactly.
my girl snoring. It's really cute. It's really not.
No,
I
it's
really
not
don't.
that cute, baby. It's not. But it's
Well, it
okay.
wasn't in the book. So
I mean,
didn't tell
if
him.
there were a girl who snored, I
I
mean,
didn't tell him.
there's not one
If
here.
there were a girl. And do you
If there was a
know
girl,
snoring is caused by that person not getting enough air? That's what's actually happening. And so they need one of those pillows that kind of sit them up a little bit so that they can take in more air, or maybe even one of those electronic beds that raise up when that
Yes.
person starts snoring. Because
Mhm.
the whole issue is they're not getting enough air in their airway. That's the problem. There are
mm,
Is that your name?
also, surgeries for that and other
No,
little
no. I just need the
devices,
bed. No, I'll
that
take
a
the new
person
bed
could
and
put on their
you
nose.
want
the new dresser to
you
match
want
the
the
bed,
new bed and the
the new
dresser to
dresser
match
and the
it.
new rug to go. I'll just take that.
I want
Or
to go back. I
the
want to go back to the
the husband
questions.
get earplugs. A husband can get earplugs, so then they
You
wouldn't
can
even
get
hear
your.
the snore.
That is
It's
correct.
just a
That is
joke. I
correct.
don't snore.
That is correct. But then no one
Right.
here snores. We didn't say anything about that. I want to
All right,
ask how you.
questions.
There's a technique that you employed in the writing of this book that I thought was brilliant, and you just cited. Tisha just cited question number 52. Do any of your children have health conditions or chronic diseases? Do you or any of your children? But then if you go just 9 questions earlier in 43, do you have a chronic disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart condition, etc.? So did you repeat certain questions in different languages and in different circumstances to sort of sift through the answers or to encourage truthfulness, or what was the initiative behind the brilliant way that you wrote the questions?
That is exactly what I was trying to do, is sift through all the different responses a person can give, or in some cases, that they can give to get out of really answering the question.
Mm.
And then I thought about, with that one question, okay, do you have a chronic illness? The question right after that is, do you have your chronic illness under control?
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not just saying, okay, do you have a chronic illness and what do you take for it? That's it. No, is it under control? And then you can get even deeper in that question and say, well, a person can say, well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not under control. And then that leads for more discussion between the couple to examine Well, how or what are the things you are doing to get it under control when it is? And what are the things that you do when it's not under control? And then that person asking the question is thinking to themselves, can I help this person with this chronic disease? Is this too much for me? Or is this something I can see myself dealing with and helping this person? And
Yes, ma'am.
maybe the person asking the question has a similar chronic disease. And so it's them helping each other.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
the
That's
goal. And I
amazing.
do have
That's,
questions in here that are repetitive and maybe
hmm
change the words are changed a little bit, just a nuance or so, because
hmm
it's the goal is to get to the truth.
Okay.
This is nothing but the
And
truth,
really,
right? This show, nothing
you
but
have
the
to
truth.
understand.
We're trying to get to the truth.
The
You have to
truth,
understand also, and not just the truth, nothing but
but
the truth.
But the
With
truth.
who? With who?
Brother Jamil.
And Sister Tisha. But that just happens to be the name of the program. We want to make sure that what we do tonight, and by the way, as a footnote, Sister Katrina is a former law school student. She's a student of law. So when you've been to law school, you start asking questions a certain way when you get into the preparation for litigation and the exchange on the basis of law. You can ask a question 45 or 50 different ways just so that on question number 50, ping, it
Mhm,
comes up something different
mhm.
than you thought.
That's
Now,
right.
we have a couple things by way of housekeeping that we do at this point of the program. Y'all know what I'm about to ask the tech team. You know it's big. Is it big?
It's big.
It's
It's
big.
huge.
It's huge. We're going to ask the tech team for another block of time after our normal 9 o'clock sign off. And we're going to ask that that block of time be used to answer all the questions that you guys put into the comment section for Sister Katrina. You may have had to employ the book. You may have certain questions you want to know about. You may want to know how you can get your own copy of Relationship Talks. Brother tried to ask me if he could borrow mine. I said, no, my brother,
Oh
you
my.
got to get your own. You know how the old commercial used to do. But this is the way that we want to make sure we're studying tonight. So at 10 before the hour,
Mhm.
we normally shift to Sister Tisha, and she gives us an update on all that's happening. She asks you and tells you how you can support the program, and then we start wrapping up. But we're gonna go do the housekeeping, come back. I'm gonna correspond with the tech team and see if we can get this extra block to go answer your questions in the chat. Tisha,
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks again for hanging out with us. I hope that you're enjoying this edition of Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. So far, it's not over. Don't leave. This is just the time where I remind you to go over to YouTube if you haven't already done so and subscribe to the channel so that we can help grow the platform. It's Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. You want to hit like, share, and subscribe. And there's a notification bell on there also that if you hit that, whenever we go live, it'll alert you. Or whenever I upload something, it'll alert you. And then you can do the same on our Facebook page, Nothing But the Truth with Brother Jamil and Sister Tisha. All right. And then don't forget, we're also taking love donations to help us expand the platform. Any love donation that you feel that you want to give from the heart, you can make that donation to dollar sign Bro Works. It's dollar sign BROWORKS. All
yes,
right.
indeed.
I don't want to take too much time. We want to get back into the book.
We're trying to go back into the
Thank
book
you.
from the block. I'm awaiting the word of approval from the tech team to let us know that we can go over there. But, dear brothers and sisters, I want you to know that when you get this book, this is what the Holy Quran calls one of the recurring blessings.
Mhm.
It's a recurring blessing that we have our sister with us tonight. Don't you know that the New York Times and other publications pay big dollars for the level of expertise that we have with us on the line tonight? But our sister Katrina is just that. She's our sister, and she has undertaken to minister to the needs of her nation. Did you hear the passion in her voice when she said what the divorce rate is in Black America? Did you hear how strongly she stated that the Ummah is all of us? So this is her gift to her people. That's
Beautiful.
power, and that's real love, and that's what love looks like. She told us that love is an action word. And then she referenced it from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's lecture, Love and Duty. So you see, we're not dealing with a person who just scribbled some things in a book.
Mhm.
This is not some urban novel, about hustler. I was a wife of a hustler. Be more careful. No, this is not that kind of thing. It's a step further in the way of development of our characters and persons. And so we want to welcome her back for the overtime portion of the game.
Beautiful.
All right, we're in the fifth quarter, everybody. I'm going to ask you to go to the chat,
Mhm.
add your questions now. We have that block. We're not going to abuse the time, but we have our sister with us for just a few more moments. And remember, she'll be back next month.
Yes.
She'll be back next month, every
Inshallah.
second Thursday.
Second
Okay,
Thursday.
inshallah, she'll be here. And it's funny how Tisha kind of gangstered her to do that. It was really,
No gangster. It's all love.
yes, all love.
All
Okay,
love.
but the
All
arms
love.
was, did you have to do the arm anyway? But it was great. And so we welcome our sister back every week. And the representation, I want to say this, Tisha and Sister Katrina, to the two of you, thank you for representing the beauty of women in Islam, the brilliance
Praise be to
of
Allah.
women in Islam. My sister and my wife, they represent, and your wife and your sisters and your mothers and daughters, they represent the beauty of women who submit to Allah and strive to create and represent a new paradigm of civilization and refinement in the world. So I want to thank you both very much for that. No, Sister Amina, there are no questions that are off limits.
Right.
Just don't put no pork in your eggs.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't
Say that.
use names.
And don't put out names. Please don't do that. Because I mean, and I love the metaphor that you used earlier about preparing eggs. When we first met, my wife was all sunny side up, and
Where's
she
he
knew I
going
was a
with
little
this?
scrambled. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. You know
but
where this
but
is
it's
going.
but it's okay. But it's okay. And we're here together. So go on in, put your questions in, and let's make sure that we can get in the right spirit. Sister Katrina, you ready?
While we
I'm
wait on
ready.
the question from the chat, can we speak a little bit? So we talked on the medical side,
Mm-hmm.
but this chapter is privacy and health.
Mm.
Can we dip into the privacy portion of it?
Dip.
Because
Oh,
a
of
lot of times,
course.
when we have been single for a minute, we it's a growth process
Yeah,
to get to what you tell
it
me.
really
I
is.
used to have to learn how to be a we
Mm.
because I was stuck on me, my, I. He was like, "We're a we."
I probably didn't use that tone of voice.
I mean, what?
I probably was more like,
Girl, we are we.
yeah, girl, we are we. Like that.
So,
Put some bass in that.
so if we can speak on the privacy aspect, because I didn't realize that privacy was a thing like that for me because it was just me. It's my stuff. So yeah. But now where are we?
Yes, it's a thing. When I researched, so in doing this book, I spoke with couples who had been married for years, and I spoke with divorced couples. And I learned so much about how privacy has caused issues in marriages, specifically cell phones, social media accounts, and just your privacy in terms of your health and how much you share about yourself, about your finances, even sharing a bank account. I mean, all of these things. I met couples who were like, oh, absolutely not. I keep everything separate. No, my spouse doesn't need my passwords. Why do they need my passwords? They have their own Facebook page or whatever. I firmly believe all that should be kept separate. And then I met couples that said, well, we're married. Everything becomes one. My phone is her phone or his phone. We don't have separate accounts on anything. And I have no problem if my spouse looked at my email, answered my email, or even answered my phone. And yes, we share a bank account. We don't have separate anything. And so it was just interesting to me meeting couples that were so passionate about their privacy and how they feel about it one way or the other. And so what I learned from that is it's important to ask these questions up front. And again, make sure you're in alignment with that person so there will be no surprises, right? No one assuming, oh, well, yeah, of course I can answer your phone. You know, I'm your husband now. Like, of course, right? And then she's like, yeah, no, you can't do that. I have a problem with that. All of that should have been discussed in courtship.
Mhm.
So now you're married, you don't want surprises.
Right.
I mean, there might be some little things that might be, but it shouldn't be deal breaker type of things like that. So, yes, I mean, on page 49, I talk about question right out the gate. Number one, do you believe it's okay for a spouse to answer the other spouse's phone, text messages, or emails? Should question number two, should married spouses share access to each other's social media accounts, emails, or should they remain private? And question number three, should spouses share GPS locations on their cell phones with each other, meaning to allow your cellular devices to know the exact location of each other via apps or other technology? I mean, these type of technologies and apps have actually saved lives before of
Right.
people who have been taken or kidnapped or what have you, and they happen to have a locator device on their phone, and their family, friends, and or the police were able to track them and to save them. So, I mean, it's not necessarily always about some nefarious reason, like, oh, you just don't trust me, that's why you want a GPS. You know,
Right.
it's for safety reasons as well. But again, it lends for discussion, and the couple deciding if they are in alignment on those issues. And there's no judgment. There's no
Yes, ma'am.
judgment on these
Yeah.
questions. It's all
Sister,
about how you feel and if you two agree.
Yes.
Sister Katrina, let me just, and if I could be transparent, Tisha, what we found was that the answers to these questions are not a set one way or the other. What was more important to us was, are you willing to share?
Mhm.
The willingness to share is more important than just the action of sharing, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not interested in opening your mail, going to
Right.
getting your phone. I don't understand. There's a lot of TikToks and stuff in there, and like that other music and stuff. I don't know what's in that phone. Like, I don't need to go in there because that's your stuff. When the mail comes and it has your name on it, why would I open it? That's your mail. And so the willingness to remain as a we, as a connected unit, but also to give the spouse space to be themselves in a way that's not interrupting themselves as a way of over hovering and overbearing and lurking. Like, I don't think that's good. It doesn't mean I'm not interested in you, but just like if my phone rings and I say, "Hun, could you answer that?" She doesn't want to answer because she doesn't know what kind of problem is going to be on the phone or who's going to be calling from this part of the country or whatever. No, no. And yes, Sister Latrice, I do think the willingness to share has to do with trust. I trust Sister Tisha.
Mhm.
Therefore, I'm willing to share with her, and it becomes less and less necessary if you're willing to do it. If that makes any sense.
So then, do you think that the is it fair to say that? I don't think it's fair to say that if you don't want somebody checking your phone or knowing your location, that they should have a trust issue or you have a trust issue. Some people just are private like that. Like, we're not. We leave
Exactly.
phones and everything around. Is what? Yeah, get my phone, whatever. But some
Right.
people really like that space. And then I think what we were learning, what I was struggling with, and not so much is the privacy in that aspect. It was more of the independence, because I'm used to just go, 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 go. And now where he's coming to get my door, and he's this and that. He's coming around the car to get the door, and I'm already almost to the store. He's like, can I get your door? Where are we now? You can let me carry that for you. Where are we? And so I was like, that's the part of the we
You're
I was
like,
dealing with.
oh,
I don't
right.
I'm just so used to going, and having to do everything myself, and now I don't have to because where are we? So praise be to Allah for that. But I can see how um, the phones, the social media, the all of that could be a problem.
And also
Maybe, but in some ways
if
it may
you
not be. Just
right, and
like
if you
privacy.
ask people why is it a problem, like I think the
Mhm.
most important question in this entire book that I tried to tack on to all the questions was a three-letter word: why.
Why?
Right? Because there's a reason for how we feel the way we feel. I asked someone who said that with regards to privacy, they like to keep their work life and home life separate. And they would not bring someone that they are courting or engaged to or even married to any work events. And I asked them why. And they said because they had a bad situation happen before where that the person they were dating at the time or engaged to, whoever that was, they had had an earlier argument or something. The person thought it was over with, but at the work event, this person kind of showed up and showed out. They were not over it. They were quite upset, and it became an issue. It brought a lot of embarrassment to them. And from then on, they learned, I'm going to keep my work life and my private life separate, and I will never blend the two or mix the two moving forward. And so so there is no right or wrong. The most important question is, why does the person feel that way? And if it's reasonable to them, and if you understand a lot of this is because of possibly some, past trauma, then it's like, okay, be patient for that person to possibly come around and trust the individual a little bit more. Or like in your case, be patient with the person because they're just not used to this new arrangement, this new situation of, okay, now we are a we. Before it was just me, but now it's we. It does take some time to get used to that. But it's just very important that you have the conversation about privacy, what levels and degrees of privacy a person needs or wants to make sure you are in alignment. I mean, I know some couples that need and want and have decided to have separate bedrooms. And they had separate bedrooms because of their sleep health. Their sleep health was really causing constant argument. This is a couple who had been married 20 years. The wife was going through menopause. She was hot all the time, with the fan on, with the window open, with the AC on. She needed it cold in that room. The husband was freezing to death and was like, this is not working for me. In addition, the husband liked to fall asleep with the television on. But the wife, the only way she could get to sleep was complete darkness, silence in the room. And so after so many arguments between them, when you're going to cut the TV off, when you're going to turn that AC down, when you're going to cut the fan off, they finally decided to have harmony in their marriage. They needed separate bedrooms to go to sleep. So they have a great marriage. And of course, when other things, it's time for other things, grown folk things, they figure it out. But the bottom line is they needed to get some rest. And so having two separate bedrooms didn't mean any less love in their marriage. It actually created more love in their marriage because now they weren't grumpy. Now they were getting their full sleep and rest, and they were both happy and satisfied and had met each other's needs and was patient with each other. And so it's all about talking about it. Of course, I mentioned that to some other couples, and they said, they clutched their pearls and was like, oh, never, ever would I ever be in a separate bedroom than my spouse. I think that's the death of a marriage. And it's like, maybe to you, but to that couple, it actually saved their marriage. So, you have to have those conversations.
Right or wrong answer. No right or wrong.
Exactly.
So Jamil, you're going to be comfy on the couch tonight?
He's like, no, I don't think so.
I missed the point.
No, we on the air. We're actually on the air now.
That's the point.
So we're on the air. We got the extra block of time, and we want to thank our musical director is in the room tonight, and we want to recognize him, renowned and award-winning jazz guitarist, Brother Gary Muhammad, who is an independently produced recording artist. You can get his music at CD Baby and Apple Music and YouTube Music. He's our musical director. He's the one responsible for that catchy tune that everybody loves to tap their foot to as the show comes on. I love it. Brother Gary Muhammad, thank you for joining us. And also, our brother, student minister Mark Muhammad from Moss number 71 in Springfield, Ohio, is
Yes.
on the line with us. Always good to see some Buckeyes because you can't let the Michigan people take everything. And let the Ohio people got to have some love in here too. So, all right, all right. We are grateful that everybody's with us. We did receive the extra time. We promised we'd stay with Sister Katrina. So, Katrina, is there any question in the chat or comment section that you want to address, or would you like to go back to the book? Because we have more in the book to ask you about.
Definitely, we could talk about the book, but I don't want to be remiss of the viewers who have asked some questions. Let's address what those questions are.
Okay. Everybody, if you're in the room, come on with your question. We want to make sure I'm reviewing the questions too. I want to make sure we don't leave anything out. Oh, here's and I did answer the brother Lil Baby Wah,
Uh-huh.
who asked the question, sis, are you promoting going back and forth to hospitals and not eating every other day to avoid hospitals and disease? As Elijah, I think he presumes to say there, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Which do you promote in your book?
Well, what I ask people to do in the book is to be healthy and to have a conversation about what works best for them. So that is what's most important. This book is not about pushing necessarily our teachings onto other people, because like I said, this book is read and it's written for Muslims as well as Christians. However, if that is what a person subscribes to, the question is, are they doing things in a healthy way? Because you can be an intermittent faster and be very unhealthy and have a lot of health issues. You can be weighing a $105, in terms of what the proper weight is, and be still very unhealthy. The minister said the weight that we're carrying is the weight of sin.
Yes, it's the weight of sin that's on our minds. That's right. And I know that I can see the feed now beginning to stream up as more and more people come on the line. But as we bring Sister Katrina back to the microphone,
So
I have
that's
to
a
tell you,
lot in terms of what's best for
yes.
them.
Mhm. And no doubt about it. Thank you so much for that answer. Any other questions in the chat that you have? Because there's so many good things. Brother Minister Mark says, excellent teaching, sister. We want to make sure. Here's Elachio Flowers asked the question, what constantly feeds the union to motivate both couples daily to grow as one? I think both members of the couple, you mean both people, what is it that makes them, what feeds the union to make them grow as one? Do you understand the question, Sister Katrina?
I think I understand. I mean, for me, hopefully it would be trying to become one with Allah, right? Trying to get closer to our creator, becoming one with Allah, and then becoming one with each other as a couple. I mean, we should be approaching our relationships not as a half of a person, but as a whole person. I think Brother Student Minister Nuri talked about that in his book, before you say I do, right?
Yes.
That one, and after you say I do. He addresses that in great detail in terms of coming to the relationship, to the marriage as a whole person. So that's what the couples should be doing and should be aspiring to. This book is for the couples to have honest conversation and dialogue with regards to how they really feel about specific issues related from finance to privacy, to health, to education, to religion, so on and so forth. That's what this book is. The goal is to do.
All right. Now here's another question, and I'm going to take the prerogative of the chair. I've got one here, and this is one. This is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, but it's ravaging Black America, and we have to talk about it here. I'm referring on page 54, Sister Katrina, to question number 60 and 61.
Oh,
Question
I was
number
going to
60
talk
says,
about that.
have you
I
ever
was
been
gonna mention
admitted to a mental institution or mental illness program? If so, when and for what reason? Were you committed or a self check-in? And then 61 follows up, says, have you ever tried to hurt yourself or commit suicide or threaten to commit suicide? When did this happen? Did you receive any therapy or medication? Do you still have thoughts of suicide? Has anyone in your family or friend circle committed suicide or threatened to do so? Um, um, that how often do you see in your clients and in among the people that you educate in terms of preparing them for marriage? Do you see this increasing, or is there less of a stigma than there used to be about our people seeking help for mental illnesses? It seems to me that they would be almost as an inevitable a part of life as physical illness.
Right.
Right? Physical illness need not be debilitating, but if you have the cold or a flu, you still ill. If you have a mental problem and you're depressed, even for a short time, that's mental illness.
Uh-huh.
What has been your response about these two powerhouse questions in the book?
There is a beautiful vanguard in our nation out of Texas. And Brother Taiwan sent me the link to her documentary. Maybe he can put that in the chat room again for everyone. But I immediately sent it out to almost everybody I know. And in her documentary, she did such a good job relating and reporting on statistics, and I was so alarmed by the statistics, specifically in the Black community, of suicide and mental illness. I mean, it's just something that we thought wasn't happening in our community. That's something we didn't do. That's something only Caucasians did or whomever. But based on her reporting, it is something that we are doing and have been doing for quite some time. And the statistics have only been rising, and especially during these years of COVID, it's almost skyrocketed. So it is definitely something we have to talk about. It is not a topic or issue we should be afraid to discuss and put on the table. And also, the statistics show that when you have others in your circle that have attempted suicide or actually have been successful in committing suicide, it increases the chances or the percentages of individuals that was connected to that person, of those people being influenced by suicide or affected in some way. So it's definitely something that we cannot be shy about discussing. I do believe there's still a stigma as it relates to mental health and mental illness, discussing openly that you're seeing a therapist, or you have seen a therapist, or you're currently seeing a therapist. Some people might look at that as a negative way in the Black community. We are trying to turn the corner, to understanding that health is not just physical. This relates back to the very first question that we started talking about, asking the person to gauge how healthy they are, and on their physical, their mental, and their spiritual. Health is all of that, and we must discuss it. I think within our nation, the study guides are an excellent barometer or gauge to do with someone, to really understand where they are mentally, and to get a good feeling about them, or even a good feeling about yourself, because the whole point of the study guides is because it's for self-improvement, right? To improve yourself. So I see those Friday night sessions as really a therapy session, a therapy circle for ourselves, mentally and spiritually. I mean, it's hard to be a Black person in this country. Let's just face it. We've all experienced some type of trauma, and honestly, especially from race relations or racism, that trauma happens daily to Black people, and it can make a person lose their mind.
Wow.
So, or make really bad choices and decisions because of that type of trauma. So, yes, this is something we need to talk about, but unfortunately, Brother Student Minister Jamil, there is still a stigma. We have to get over that, though. We have to have the open conversation
Right.
about this issue.
Yes, ma'am.
And people have to feel safe to be able to discuss it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'd agree with that 1,000%. I think we've reached a tripartite agreement, because in what I'm hearing you do, and we try to, and this is another disclosure, but what we try to do is, without referencing the book by chapter and verse and specific question number, we try to inform our activities by the kind of cooperation and mutual concern that's called for here. One of the things that we like about this book as well, I noticed that there is very little use of him and her
Mhm.
pronouns that may make us villainize the opposite gender. Well, women always do this and men always do that. And no, that's something that I really like about it. But it causes us to get up in the spirit of cooperation. And you said something very key, that if the man and woman are striving together to gain the favor and closeness to Allah, then they have something
Exactly.
in common, which is very significant. Now we have, oh my goodness, we have 7 minutes remaining in the show. 7 minutes is what we have. I want to know all these questions. Y'all better pour them in
I
to
have
the
a
chat. Go
I
ahead.
have an observation too about the
Yes.
book. So we just talked on a very serious subject, mental health,
Mhm.
and the importance of it. That was really heavy. And the book is so balanced with, like I said, it has the big questions and it has the little subtle questions that you didn't even think to ask. But it could be game changers for some people.
Mhm.
And like this one, 147 on page 63, it asks, do you get bumps on your skin from shaving or from haircuts? How do you treat this skin condition? How often does this occur? I would have never thought to think that.
Mhm.
But what if he wind up, having meat neck and it bothered me?
meat neck, meat
You know,
neck.
what if that was an issue and I wouldn't know till after?
I'm glad. I'm glad. But meat neck,
Yeah.
I don't think is the name
And
of the.
that's a medical term.
Yeah, it's
Right.
oh, highly technical. Okay, I got you.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying
Meat
I'm
neck.
just making light of it. But there's the big questions, and then
Mhm.
there's smaller questions that are yet still important, because seriously, for some people that might be a problem. Like some ladies shave their legs, some don't. What if the husband didn't like that? What if all of that? All these questions are important, and the book is just great. If you guys haven't got the book, I highly recommend it. And not just if you're in courtship. If you're already married, it's still a great reference. Just start at the beginning and go and ask each other these questions, because as marriage goes on, you change.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
change. The marriage is always growing and evolving. These questions are still relevant, even if you've been married 20, 30 years.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Highly
And
And
we
Sister
recommend.
we
it.
found
Tisha, to
also,
that
Tisha,
point,
that
I had some married couples that said to me that they got this book and learned things about each other that they didn't know. And they had been married for some years, like 10, 15, 20 years. And going through this book, some of the questions in here, they didn't even know some of these things about their partner. So they grew even more in love with each other by learning more about each other. So I'm so glad you mentioned that this book is for married couples too, because the goal is to stay married.
That's
Stay
right.
married. Well, how do you stay married? By coming closer, becoming closer, making sure there's no daylight between you and your spouse.
no doubt
Wow.
about it. You're listening
Beautiful.
to and viewing Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil.
and Sister Tisha, and our teammate on Spotlight tonight on center stage is our sister, our recurring relationship consultant and correspondent, Sister Katrina Muhammad, the author of the book Relationship Talks: A Guide to Meaningful Conversations for Couples in Courtship, Engagement, and Marriage. This is a vital addition to your library. And thank the tech team who uh, always on top of things, putting the copy of the book up front. There will be book signings and book shippings, and you can order the book, and we'll have more information about that in just a couple of moments. But I would like to begin to do what they do around the infield at the end of every inning. Let's whip this thing around the horn and start with you, Sister Katrina, because we do expect, by Allah's grace, that you'll be back with us next second Thursday. But what are the things that we should take away? If you had to give a 30-second thumbnail, what would it be right now?
Don't be afraid to have the hard conversation. Don't be afraid to ask the very personal questions. However, when you share your information that is very private to you, make sure you're sharing that with someone who you see yourself having a future with. So this book is for the serious about getting married and developing relationship with each other. And be honest. It's okay. Be honest.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Beautiful.
very, very much. This is Sister Katrina Muhammad. Don't go anywhere, sis. We want to make sure we can get up some information on the screen, because we cannot be, our switchboards won't handle the kind of deluge that people will be calling about how to get the book. That information will be coming in just a few moments. But I want to just ask my beloved wife, who would certainly not dream of making me sleep on the couch tonight for any reason. But I would like to
No.
ask, what would you wrap up your comments with tonight, and also give the information for the support of the program so people can become involved in the maintenance of what we do here. Go right
Oh,
ahead.
yes, yes, yes. I just want to say to thank you again for coming on with us, Sister Katrina, and dropping these jewels for us. We look forward to you coming back monthly, right?
Yes, thank you.
And to share this.
Definitely.
Guys, if you haven't got the book, I highly recommend Relationship Talks. With this book, this is a great tool to have in your arsenal to help build that strong, firm foundation that all relationships need to be built on so that you can ensure success for both yourself and your partner. Marriages deserve to be fun and deserve to be happy, but
Yes,
you got to
indeed.
do the work. And to thine own self must be true.
Yes.
You have to speak the truth. You have to live your truth, because if you don't, it's going to come out eventually, and you owe it to
That's
yourself and you owe it to your partner to be true, right? And then move together as one into that oneness with Allah is what we're trying to get. That's the ultimate goal. But
Wow.
to thine own self be true. Do the work. Get in there and dig deep. The reward at the end is so worth it.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm. Oh,
Sometimes the reward at the end wears a black sweater. I'm just saying.
never mind.
I'm just saying.
I
You
don't know
know.
what happened. I was on such a
Ba-da,
high.
ba-da.
I'm just saying. But I'm going to close my comments tonight with the words from another member of our Nothing But the Truth team, a sister, a friend, a family member who writes in the comment section from her home in Dallas, Texas tonight. She is Sister Katina Muhammad, and I hope she wouldn't mind if I used some of her words to close our talk tonight. She says, "You have to handle the mental afflictions,
Mm.
i.e., grief, fear, anger, indifference, to uncover the love, or rather, convert those lower emotions to love, and therefore gain the ability to have a sane, happy, and lasting marriage." Sane,
Mm,
happy, and lasting. Sane. It doesn't mean it won't get zany sometimes. It doesn't
right.
mean it won't get a little fun and crazy. That's okay. But it should be sane,
Same.
basically balanced in the principles of mental wellness and health. Your marriage should be happy. It doesn't mean it will always be yuck, 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 laugh it up,
Mhm.
because happiness may come and go. But if your marriage is based on joy,
Mm.
then
Come
joy is the
on.
lasting relationship you have with Allah. And joy is the thing that overrides even when happiness is missing.
Mm.
And finally, a lasting marriage. See, we didn't get married to fail.
Right.
You didn't get married to do the things that you used to do before you got married in the same way you did them before you got married.
Mhm.
Come on.
You,
Teach.
you didn't get
Teach.
married to stay where you used to be. You got married to have somebody to walk with you to where you're ultimately going. So,
Mhm.
marriage is a purposeful activity. And we would pray that all of us would have a purpose for our marriages.
Beautiful.
So, if you're in courtship, or if you're engaged, or if you're married already, sit down with your spouse and ask them a question. Just tell her, "I need to ask you a question, Johnny May." And she'll look over at you and say, "What you want, Roosevelt?" And when that question is asked at the table, y'all got to be honest and tell the truth, but tell it in such a way that preserves the face and dignity of the other person. Tell them in such a way that you just tired of picking up socks,
Mhm.
and you want something different in your life than picking up socks.
He was on a good roll, wasn't he? For a
Yeah,
minute there.
I was on a roll. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap.
I want to
That
thank
was
you
some
all
good
for so
teaching.
everybody. Thank you, Sister Katrina.
Because he doesn't preach.
No, this
No,
we don't do
he
no
don't.
preaching.
We don't do preaching.
No, not
No.
on Nothing But the Truth. We don't do that, Dave C.
Yeah.
And
Let
so
him
I'm
know.
trying to tell you, we don't
Let
do
him
no
know,
preaching.
Hamid. Let him
I'm
know.
letting them know,
All
girl.
right.
I mean,
Let him know.
I'm letting them know. So everybody, we're about to leave you, but while we're gone, please don't do anything to anybody that you wouldn't have them to do unto you.
Up to you.
So, Allah willing, and the creek don't rise.
Don't
We'll see you
rise.
next Thursday at 8 o'clock, right back here on Nothing But the Truth with
Brother Jamil.
and Sister Tisha. Thanks, everybody. We love you. Salam alaikum. Peace.
Salam.